or his inconsistent sensibilities. He is a sinner who believes he has been forgiven for his sins without applying that same standard of forgiveness to others, which is to say, he is a holy hypocrite. And thus the parable, not everyone who's saved is sanctified. Read another way, this is a novel about women with dreams and desires deferred, women whose lives and happiness are contingent upon the whims and moods of the men in their lives, women who are forced to sacrifice so much of themselves while receiving little in return. They are held to impossible standards, are asked to satisfy impossible expectations. When a woman dares to live life on her own terms, a high price is exacted. Take Esther, a young woman who becomes Gabriel's mistress. Their affair sets in motion the series of events that lead to her death. Esther becomes one of many examples in the novel of people who love Gabriel, paying the highest of prices for his often cruel, always self-serving choices. The men in this novel are desperately seeking salvation. They want absolution for their mortal sins, for the masculine desires they are unable or unwilling to suppress. They act without thinking and rarely consider the consequences of their actions. They take and offer nothing in return. They hold the women in their lives in low regard while holding themselves in the highest esteem. They are largely infuriating and infuriatingly lacking self-awareness. There are similarities between John Grimes's life and the one lived by James Baldwin. Both John and James were raised in the church, raised by brutal and indifferent fathers. They both experienced the hardships of poverty and the precarity of black masculinity. They both harbored desires for men, desires they knew they could not express or act on for fear of ostracization or worse. And they both, for a time, were young men of profound faith who had to shield themselves when no one else would. In the third and final part of the novel, The Threshing Floor, John and his family have been in their church for hours, praying and singing. John realizes he is on the floor in the middle of a spiritual battle. Eventually, he emerges having found salvation. He gives himself over to Christ and hopes that finally he will earn Gabriel's approval. But nothing John can do will ever be good enough for his stepfather. Perhaps Gabriel knows on some level that he is a false prophet, knows that he has never practiced what he preaches, and assumes the same is true of John. Perhaps this is but further evidence of how irredeemable Gabriel actually is. And so, the family makes their way home after a long, exhausting night of worship. John is buoyed by his newfound faith, despite Gabriel's skepticism. He continues to have hope, to believe in the potential of his future, to be his own shield. In his essay, Everybody's Protest Novel, Baldwin incisively critiques Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin and Richard Wright's Native Son. In doing so, Baldwin illuminates his issues with the genre more broadly. All too often, he notes, the importance of the issues a protest novel addresses becomes a convenient excuse for aesthetic flaws. They are forgiven on the strength of these good intentions, whatever violence they do to language, whatever excessive demands they make of credibility, Baldwin writes. He uses the term protest novel derisively because, to his mind, such novels are often badly written and wildly improbable. They reflect the biases and condescension of their authors and reinforce the very prejudices they are meant to combat. A true protest novel, then, should defy the traditional conventions of the protest novels Baldwin writes of with such disdain. Instead of reinforcing stereotypes and making facile arguments, they should be nuanced, offering original insights into the human condition. They should make readers uncomfortable. They should resist categorization. They should not offer easy or tidy conclusions. They should reflect the complexity of the real world we live in, rather than the convenient simplicities of fictional worlds where there is no need for nuance. And so, read a third way, Go Tell It on the Mountain is a protest novel, as a protest novel should be. It embodies what a protest novel can be at its very best. Ostensibly, readers might understand this as a story of a young man on a harrowing spiritual quest. But if this novel is read as a true protest novel, Go Tell It on the Mountain is a repudiation of hypocrisy and double standards and false prophets and those